Jack says, I think pleasure is capitalized heavily today through consumerism. That's a topic of its own, Jack. People try to feel pleasure by buying this, buying that, doing this, doing that. These are all ways of escape. If pleasure turns into escape, it becomes negative. It has negative effects because then you replace pleasure for all things that you're supposed to accomplish. And you won't. You run into pleasure. You constantly run toward pleasure, whether it's shopping or sex or drugs or alcohol, whatever gives you pleasure, just to not deal with things that life has brought about for you as a challenge. And that's why you should be wise to know what pleasure you should seek, what pleasure you should not see it as pleasure, and you should diss it, not seek it. As I said before, pleasures make you feel good, even so momentarily. But that's why you want pleasure, because it makes you feel good. But not everything that makes you feel good is good for you. This is the key here. So be choosy on the kind of pleasure that you pursue, because your whole life is based and centered around pleasure and pain. And of course, you always run toward pleasure. But you must be wise enough to choose the pleasure that is also good for you, not just makes you feel good. Making you feel good is not a justification to choose a pleasure, to find a pleasure qualified, worthy of you to pursue. No, you must see what it makes you to become. Remember, we always said, which I learned it from a well-known speaker in the past, this sentence: it's not important to get the gold. What you become in pursuit of the gold is the most important thing. You want gold, you may go, I don't know, do something illegal, something bad. You may rob a bank. You may got the gold. You got the gold. But what did you become? You became a thief, a robber. So it's not important to get the gold. What you become in pursuit of what it is that you want to get, that is important. So you may get the pleasure, whatever it is. But what you become, you get the pleasure through drug, you become drug addict. You get the pleasure through alcohol, you become alcoholics. Then you do all kind of weird things to get money for the alcohol or the drugs. So what you become is the most important thing, not the pleasure. So when you want to seek pleasure, find out, what is it gonna do to you having attained that pleasure? Because that's the real good or bad. That's the real prize or detriment to your life. That's the real outcome. What you become, not feeling the good from pleasure, not feeling the pleasure. That's not really the outcome of the pleasure. What you become, having experienced that pleasure, is what you should be focusing on. Is that good for you? Is that making you feel good? What you become after having attained a certain pleasure? Or is it the pleasure that you're only after? If it's the pleasure you're only after, then the outcome may not necessarily be good for you. Thinking that pleasure makes you feel good, therefore the outcome is good too. No. Not every pleasure is to be chosen. Not every pleasure that makes you feel good is good for you. You must be focused on that. Choose your pleasures wisely and then enjoy the pleasure that makes you feel good, and what you become having experienced that also should be positive and make you feel good. So you'll be feeling good in all angles, all sides, all considerations. All right.